Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for this opportunity to present to you today the work of the Child Online Protection Initiative. So ITU's work on child online protection is actually part of its broader mandate on cybersecurity. During the World Summit on Information Society in 2003 and 2005, ITU was entrusted as the sole facilitator for Action Line C5 on building confidence and security in the use of ICTs. And so as part of its global effort in this domain, ITU launched in 2008 its Child Online Protection Initiative. The key objectives of the COP initiative are, first of all, to identify the risks and vulnerabilities to children in cyberspace, create awareness of the risks and issues through multiple channels, develop practical tools to help governments and other stakeholders, and also share knowledge and experience while facilitating international partnerships. And of course, we're not alone in this effort. The COP initiative has over 50 partners coming from different stakeholder groups, including private companies, NGOs, and intergovernmental organizations. In 2010, ITU also established its Council Working Group on COP, which is a platform for discussion among the relevant stakeholders in order to provide recommendations and guidance on the work of the initiative. And since last year, this platform went through some very important transformations. First of all, participation to the group became open to all stakeholders. That includes both ITU members as well as non-ITU members. And also, its full documentation became publicly available without any password protection. This Council Working Group meets twice every year, and its next meeting is on the 30th of September, which is next week, to which you're all, of course, all invited. The Council Working Group on COP was further instructed to conduct online consultations for youth prior to each one of its meetings. And the reason for this was to make the work of the initiative, of the group, even more relevant and targeted in responding to the emerging trends, to the emerging challenges, based on the direct input of the young people, which are also the directly affected individuals. And our first round of this consultation is currently online. You can see the URL on the slide, and it's open to youth of up to 25 years of age. So if you know someone that meets this criteria and would like to participate, please pass the message along. As you also know, or as you also heard, in 2014, the World Telecommunication Development Conference of ITU approved 5 regional initiatives for Europe. And regional initiative number 4 set a clear objective to build trust and confidence in the use of ICTs among children and young people in Europe. And this conference today is part of the implementation of this regional initiative implementation plan, which was developed in a bottom-up approach based on the inputs and specific commitments expressed by ITU members. So what we do exactly, a bit on the work of the COP initiative. So in 2009, ITU and the partners of the COP initiative developed 4 sets of guidelines addressing 4 different stakeholder groups. And the purpose of this exercise was to raise awareness and to trigger holistic action on the need for protection of children online. These guidelines are available on the ITU website in the 6 official UN languages, and we also coordinate with different countries for their distribution in other languages as well. And for those interested, you can also find some hard copies outside of this room. Going very briefly through each one of these guidelines. So the first one is the guidelines for children. This document aims to help children understand the full scope of ICTs and enjoy the benefits of these technologies while also being aware of the risks. The second set of guidelines is targeting directly parents, guardians, and educators. And this is very important as it aims to make these people that work and interact directly with children aware of the digital landscape and also their own role in the digital education of children. The guidelines for policymakers are also very important as they provide recommendations on the measures that policymakers can take to address the risks of children online, and also on the different cooperation opportunities with other stakeholders. And the last set is the COP guidelines for industry, which provides some minimum recommendations to all ICT industry players on how they can ensure and promote the safety of children when they use their specific products and services. And considering that a lot had changed in the digital landscape and the ICT landscape since the first version of this document had been prepared, and also new ICT sectors had emerged, the Council Working Group on COP mandated ITU and the COP partners to update these guidelines. The updated version of the guidelines was developed jointly by ITU, UNICEF, and the COP partners, and it was released in October 2014. The document is structured over 5 key areas for the protection and promotion of children's rights online, and it provides checklists with specific recommendations for each one of the listed ICT industry sectors. And as you can see on the list includes traditional players as well as newer players such as social media and app developers. The new brochure is also complemented by an online platform of case studies and best practices related to the different ICT industry sectors. And for those of you who might be aware of an interesting case study, you're very welcome to share it with us. I'm sorry. Some further activities of the COP initiative. So ITU, together with the COP partners, also provide assistance to countries to deploy effective and practical national strategies and policies on child online protection. And in doing so, we take into account the unique national situation of its country and also involve relevant national stakeholders. And you can see here the countries where this exercise has already been completed, with more already in the pipeline. ITU and its partners also deploy several capacity building activities. One example is this activity here that took place in Ethiopia in collaboration with Facebook and Acopia. And the scope was to provide digital awareness and training to government officials, law enforcement officials, and educators, as well as children and young people in the country. ITU has also formed concrete partnerships with several stakeholders. You have a few examples here. The first one is the partnership with the Internet Watch Foundation to establish hotlines in countries in an efficient and cost-effective manner. And also the partnership with Trend Micro that involves, among others, the distribution of regular infographics and reports to member states on the current issues related to child online safety. So a bit on the way forward. In 2014, during ITU's high-level policymaking conference, the Plenipotentiary Conference as we call it, ITU member states recognized the importance of ICTs for the implementation of the post-2015 development agenda and for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So during that conference, a global agenda, the Connect 2020 agenda as we call it, was adopted by consensus. And what it did is that it set out a shared vision with specific ICT-related goals and targets that member states committed to achieve by 2020. And here you have the 4 strategic goals of the Connect 2020 agenda. And number 3 of these goals is on sustainability of ICTs, which involves managing the challenges deriving from the development and use of ICTs. And child online safety is obviously one of these challenges that need to be addressed under this framework. So following this common vision for 2020, it was considered important to translate this into a measurable and result-oriented global framework for protecting children online. This framework is expected to help ITU and the global community align their efforts to protect children online and to maximize the impact of their activities. ITU and its partners therefore developed a set of global goals and targets specifically for COP, for the protection of children online. And their implementation will be a holistic one, focusing on the international level, international cooperation, as you can see, as well as on the regional and national levels. And here you have the overview of this global framework as it stands today. So the primarily overarching goal of this framework is to achieve a basic level of online protection for at least 80% of all children by 2020, globally. And this goal was then translated into 5 specific targets with regard to different focus areas. So for the first 5 years, the implementation of this framework will focus mainly on target 1 and 2. And this is simply because more concrete data is available in these 2 areas, which makes it easier to measure the results of our efforts. At the same time, the COP community will continue working towards promoting the creation and collection of data with regard to the remaining targets, so that the broader framework can be completed and fulfilled. And this is my last slide. Thank you. So here are the 2 targets to be achieved by 2020 in a focus. So target 1 is that 90% of the countries will have legislative measures in place to address child sexual abuse material by 2020. And target 2 is that 70% of the countries will have reporting mechanisms in place to address this kind of material. So this is what the focus will be in the next 5 years. And the framework, the full framework, will be officially launched this coming October during ITU's Telecom event taking place in Budapest. And of course, we invite all stakeholders, we invite you all to join this effort and contribute to the implementation of this framework. Thank you.